Good morning.
And Don, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you virtually.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Representative, I don't even know where to start today, but between what's going on with Dr. Fauci testifying and the Supreme Court, this next election is not just the most important in our lifetime. It may be the last one, and what you're doing, I think, is one of the key things we have to focus on. You and Katie Porter, who is from out here in California, who we love, you sent a letter to congressional leadership urging them to prioritize the security and continuity of our nation's election system in the next coronavirus relief package. Great stuff. You said upcoming coronavirus legislation should include provisions mandating no excuse early voting, vote by mail options in every state, make funds available for the rapid implementation of both. These tools have the benefit of encouraging both turnout and social distancing, ensuring Americans can remain safe while carrying out their civic duty. What do you make of this in an environment where Trump and other Republicans are saying the quiet part out loud, that are basically kind of saying they don't want a lot of people to vote because Republicans don't tend to do well when too many people vote? How do you fight that?
I'm amazed by their honesty.
Yeah.
And a bit taken aback by it. Look, the situation that we're in is just unthinkable. I've in my career, I've been all around the world. I've seen people courageously risk their lives to vote in places like Afghanistan or Iraq. That's not supposed to happen in America. We're not supposed to have to choose between our right to life and our right to vote. And, we've been through wars. We've been through civil war. We've never, ever postponed an election. We've always made it possible for people to vote. And that's all we're saying here. It's not about helping Republicans vote. It's not about helping Democrats vote. It's about making sure that anyone who wants to vote in November can do so safely. Everybody should be for that.
Well, you said we may be forced to decide that an all vote by mail election is our only choice if we hope to keep people safe and protect the continuity of our democratic elections. The most important thing we can do is enable states to prepare ahead of time. Isn't that the rub right now, Representative? Is we need to do this now. I mean, it feels to me like they're trying to run out the clock on this.
We need to do it now. Now, in the CARES Act, the first of the really big bills that we passed, we did provide money for states to transition to vote by mail if they still need to make that transition, or to just improve their vote by mail. Like, New Jersey, California, we've already got it, but we can do better. So in this coming bill, we're going to provide more money. We're going to pass a bill in the House later this week, early next week, and we're going to go again for the mandate that every state that still does not allow every one of its citizens to vote by mail needs to allow that, at least for this election. Meanwhile, we fight it state by state. And, most recently, the Republican governor of New Hampshire, which was one of the holdout states, changed his mind. And so those folks up there are going to be able to vote by mail in November. So state by state, I think we're going to have this fight, and we'll probably win more fights than we lose.
Well, this is particularly important in light of the president's, I don't know what else to call it, but just complete meltdown yesterday, and the news that he is sitting on these statistics that have leaked now about the coronavirus skyrocketing. Of course, in the middle of the country, across the country, they're trying to sit on these statistics and declare mission accomplished. You said something. This is what I keep saying, that I'm just so amazed to keep hearing can't in the richest country in the world. You said if Coke can produce 1.8 billion cans of soda a day, surely we can produce the supplies to test 1 million Americans a day. But because the president thinks it's too hard to use the resources and authority of the government to do it, thousands more may die, and the recovery may be slower. I just read statistics that they're starting to have more cases in China. I don't even know what they're testing. I don't know how many million people a day, Congressman, just boom, like that. And yet we keep being told we can't.
Of course we can. This is a country that has done extraordinary things in the past. We have the capacity to do it. Everybody in the government who's responsible, other than the president, is itching to do it. You watch this testimony from Fauci and the public health experts, and if they were in charge, we'd be okay. They know what to do. They have the resources. They have all of these institutions that they lead that are set up for this kind of moment. The President of the United States doesn't understand what government does. He doesn't care what government does. It's too hard. It's too complicated. He was elected to smash it, not to use it to help us. And here we have a crisis that is exposing that in the worst way.
I think your elevator is here, but I hope you're not leaving.
That's his phone.
It's your phone. Okay.
No, that's alerts on my computer telling me there are 1,000 things happening.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
there
yeah.
are.
Right now, yes.
Right now, this is the most important one. Representative, you tweeted with this comment from the president, by doing all this testing, we make ourselves look bad. It's time to accept that we're on our own. Congress will fund the testing, contact tracing needed to safely reopen, but the states will have to implement. You also had a tweet that was so clear that it seemed obvious. You said, here's how we're supposed to beat coronavirus. States would enforce lockdowns to slow the spread. 2, Congress would provide economic relief to buy time for a public health response with mass testing. 3, the president would mobilize the response. Step 1 and 2 happened, 3 hasn't. So as you say, here we are, we're on our own.
Yeah, and so the states are going to have to step up. And again, it's not all bad because Congress has provided a lot of money. So California, New Jersey, New York, Illinois, we're going to have to work together to set up these testing and contact tracing systems to give our people confidence that they can go back to work and to school. You know, some people keep saying, like, when are we going to reopen the economy? That's not the right question, because the governors cannot wave a magic wand and reopen the economy. Only we can do that. We will decide when it's safe. The job of government is to make it safe so that when we do, when we go back to school, when we go back to work, we can do so with confidence, with safety.
Yeah. They can't even keep the White House safe, and they have testing every day, and they're encouraging. I mean, I think people, according to the polling, Congressman, at least have better sense than this. They largely agree with you that, you know, we are not ready to go back because the government has not provided, as you say, the framework we need. First of all, and also you said Congress should ensure that whenever and wherever a vaccine is developed, America will do our part with our allies to make it available to all. This virus doesn't care about borders, and no one will be safe until everyone is safe. That is such a great point, and it goes right back to, why did we refuse the WHO tests that are working all over the world? We had our own test that had to be our own and was broken. That was the test that was broken, our own CDC test. Now we're defunding the World Health Organization. We're not in the world community trying to, because of course, as you know, Trump will want to take credit for this and try to keep it just for America. But as you imply there, Representative, the virus doesn't know any borders, and they're absolutely right. If you only give this to wealthy countries, this is not going to eradicate it, right?
That's exactly right. The virus doesn't care about borders. You can't keep it out with a wall. And even if we weren't a compassionate country, which we are, even if we were only a self-interested country, we would be leading the world to vaccinate people everywhere because it's in our interest to do it. And that's, I talk to Republican members of Congress all the time. They pretty much all agree with that. We are just at the mercy of this one person who, governs by Twitter. The rest of the federal government is paralyzed because any positive initiative that they put forward, for example, let's work with our European allies to distribute a vaccine around the world, any positive initiative can be blown up the next day by a tweet from the president.
Right.
And so we're paralyzed.
And
so Congress is going to have to do that. We are going to work in Congress to fund America's share of delivering a vaccine to all the people around the world who need it.
Well, that's why this Operation Warp Speed worries me. I don't know about you. It seems like something, either throwing billions of dollars of taxpayer money at all these vaccines to try to rush them, many of which will not be fully tested, but, they'll have already ordered billions of doses, all because Trump wants to be the hero of this story, that, right. I developed the vaccine and it's America first. And as you say, just completely wrong-headed, isn't it?
It is. First of all, we should be prioritizing effective treatments right now, because that's something that can and should come before a vaccine. It's easier to test antiviral medicines in clinical trials than it is a vaccine. And that would make a tremendous difference if we knew that if you got sick, there's actually an effective treatment. You're not, the death rate would go down significantly, and that would help us reopen. Vaccine, and no expert I speak to believes we can have it before next year.
Yeah.
I don't believe that Jared Kushner, as brilliant as he may be, can bend science to his will and change that. So let's do it right. And as I said, when we do it, of course it has to be for us, but it cannot just be for us, because this virus is everywhere, and no one will be safe unless everybody is safe.
Well, and also you made a good point about Pompeo. You said he's teaching a master class in how to take a good cause, holding China's Communist Party accountable and tainting it with cheap slurs, China infecting the world, Wuhan virus, that make it impossible. And not to mention these conspiracy theories about it, was engineered in a lab, that makes it impossible to rally allies to our side, which we desperately need right now, right?
Yeah, and look, I'm a hardliner on China. I think the Chinese Communist Party does bear a large share of responsibility for this, and that we're in a contest with them. It's a contest between democracy and kleptocracy, two different ways of thinking about how the world should be organized, and I want to win. You don't win if you're out there crudely insulting the Chinese people.
And no one's been a bigger apologist for China than the president. He's the one that believed them over our own intelligence agencies, right? And complimented them and said they're so transparent, they're doing a great job. I mean,
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And of course, it wasn't the leader of China who said that the coronavirus was a big hoax. So if we apply to ourselves the same standards that we rightly apply to the Chinese government, we would fail that test as well. So let's compete with China over human rights and transparency and basic decency, but let's live those values ourselves.
Yeah, and Representative Malinowski, thank you for keeping your eyes on the prize in this vote by mail. I mean, it's only everything, and I admire your focus. You said, I spent the day talking to House Senate colleagues about our next bill, and at no point was I distracted by the baby foxes that have moved into my backyard. That takes a man, that takes nerves of steel, because if I saw a baby fox, that'd be it for me for the rest of the day.
I'm looking at 3 of them right now out my window.
Oh,
I can't stand it. Baby animals are like my kryptonite. I can't. I was all excited about the Supreme Court today, and then someone sent a picture of someone petting a baby goat's belly, and I'm like, I'm out.
We got to live for something.
Exactly.
So thank you for your dedication, and so nice to meet you virtually. Hope you'll come back.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Representative.